domestic.
They didn't get any tax.
Bring into the house.
No, because my dogs hated cats, and so they knocked off a few of them too when they get in the backyard, but it's like,
She might have an extra.
yeah.
Rebecca, do you have an extra pen? Mine dies.
And
How are you, Rebecca?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
they just
All right.
it's same old argument. Can't see them out.
You think they're gonna put, oh, I know, it's like that.
I got the big boy chair this time.
Yeah, it's my turn to have the high chair.
You think what was your question?
Are they, do the Panda Express?
They talked about it.
Okay.
They talked about the fuel pumps out back for bigger, but they're a year. Because they don't have the permit to do that. That'll dictate how big and turn labor.
It is on.
Peter Velasquez wants to rezone.
It's so slow.
Like the air conditioner.
Yeah,
I can't see.
It's 9 o'clock.
yeah.
Is-
Look at
is this-
look at that
is this
fancy
on?
clock.
This meeting is now called to order. We do have a quorum. And so we'll just go right into it. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes?
Yes.
Is there any discussion on that?
I make a motion, we accept the minutes.
It's been moved that we accept the minutes from the last meeting, and it's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Right here. The first thing on the agenda is REZ APN 105-45-087A 17 acres. That's 1.7 acres. A request was made by Jeff Green to rezone from a general A, that's general land use, to R and R, that's single family residence. The applicant wants to build a smaller house in the back, but it needs to be bigger than a mother-in-law's quarters. The address is 2725 North Shiplet Avenue in Central Arizona. That's north of Highway 70, east of Shiplet Avenue. Is there anyone here to speak to this? I'm sorry, Steve, of course he is.
Jeff is here, and if he'd like to talk, we'd love to hear from him. I don't have a whole lot of extra information. I did have some questions from one of the neighbors on Monday, but he did not, he had questions, but he did not submit a formal support or went for it or against it, I guess, unless he's made up his mind and showed up here. But Jeff, you want to talk to this? He just wanted to know what you were trying to do and why, and said you had opposed the neighbors doing it 10 years ago and wanted to know some of that, but they may have questions for you as to what you're. You need to be up here if you're going to speak, just so we get it on the record. Come on up.
No, we're just, my wife and I are just,
If you'll name, say your name. and-
oh, okay. Jeff Green. I've never done this before.
Well, neither have we, no.
Okay. No, I'm Jeff Green, and I do own the property 2725 North Shiflet Avenue. We have 1.7 acres. The house we currently live in is 2,900 square feet. It's just me and my wife. We have considered building a smaller house in the back for us, and perhaps renting the house out to one of our children or selling it to one of our children. And that's the sole reason for this. We don't have any other reason for doing this. Other than that, we can build 900 square feet, but that's not really gonna be enough for the two of us. We just like to build a bigger house than that. And that's it.
If you'll just wait a minute, is there any questions?
I got a question. Have you considered just splitting it, Jeff? Whereas the way the property lays out, is there not adequate room to split it?
I have, yeah, and I'm just kind of going through my options. I have considered that. I haven't, got into that particular thing yet. And I realize that is an option, but we haven't explored that part yet.
He would have to rezone to split, because he doesn't have quite 2 acres, so he can't split it at this point. That's what this is
Okay, yeah,
facilitating.
and
This will allow him.
I didn't even understand that.
This will allow him.
Okay, the zoning will allow him to split it. Okay.
Yeah, so then that's another reason that I wasn't aware of.
Plus, he's gonna have to split.
He's gonna have to do both.
So I'll have to do both, okay.
I don't have a problem with it. Do you guys have a problem with it?
No. No problem.
Ready for the question?
Okay, I'll make a motion that we send a favorable recommendation to the board.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we will send a favorable recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It has been, it will go before the Board of Supervisors
Okay.
at the next meeting. It would be nice if you would
All right.
show up
thank you.
like 30 minutes early. You never know.
Jeff, you need to go to that next meeting.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
I
because-
was aware of
Yeah,
that.
we just make a recommendation, so.
Okay, yeah,
Maybe,
all right,
things could change when you gotta go, show up.
okay, all right, thank you.
And to clarify, we are a advisory committee. We don't change the laws. We look into them. We listen to everybody's feelings, and then we send a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, and they're the ones that makes the final decision. So if you are on the agenda today, it would really be good if you would show up there, because they would probably have questions. Thank you.
Go ahead, your next one.
Guy Nolan is the next.
No, you skipped one.
Who did I
Donovan
skip?
Perry.
Skipped one.
I get very confused if I have more than one paper here. No, I don't have it.
Take that one.
That's my fault. Okay. Where's my sheet here? This is number 5 on our agenda today, and it's REZ 92725, and the APN is 106-28081. This involves 12.2 acres. A request was made by Donovan Kerr to rezone from SD, that's special development, to an AR 3-acre agriculture residential zone. The applicant believes this zone would better suit their needs for non-commercial home construction. The address is north of Arcadia Avenue and Sonora Skies Road, east of Stockton Road, west of St. Pius Monastery. So are you all familiar where that's at?
Okay, this is very similar to some others that we've had go out there. One of the neighbors tried AR2 and didn't get through. They changed it to AR3 and did. And Donovan is trying to do the same zoning, just as a very close parcel there, and we'll let him talk about it.
For the record, my name is Donovan Kerr. My wife and I bought this 12-acre parcel. It's adjacent to the St. Paisius Monastery. Our hope was that as we get into retirement years, 10, 15 years off down the road, if we live that long, that we'd be able to retire there. Two reasons. One is to be near the, well, three reasons. One is to be near the monastery, to attend services there on a very easygoing basis. They have services almost every morning and evening. And as we were able, health-wise, we hope to retire and just walk over or have a short drive over to attend morning services and evening services with the sisters down there. The second reason is we hope to have a couple chickens and perhaps a goat. The third reason is we bought 12 acres hoping to do a minor land split. We have 9 kids. My 8th born is back there in the back row. Savannah joined me today to keep me out of trouble here in Safford. And 12 acres will not allow for all of our kids to live near us. Not that I want all of them to live near me, but we hope to sell to a couple of them. If we were to be able to rezone, I think it would be simpler to go ahead and do a minor land split. We'd like to end up with 4 parcels, approximately 3 acres each. And I do have a 25-year-old son who's getting married this summer. He's already raised his hand and said, "Dad, can I buy one of those parcels?" And so I just think it'll kind of keep it loose and leave it flexible. My fear, after talking to Mark Kavanaugh, a mild fear was if we went ahead and split these up and they were all still special development, it'd be a little more complicated for other owners, my family members that I potentially sell to submit a plat for everything they're going to do. No one has any plans to do anything very interesting. We're not looking to open a tire shop or work on cars or have any commercial, any business out of it. I don't run any businesses from home. Simply to do conventional, my wife and I just want to have 3 acres and do a conventional small house built there. And like I said, have the freedom to have a dog and a couple chickens and whatever. So, do you have any questions? Or maybe I don't understand it fully, and I'm happy to be educated about how things work.
Does anyone have any questions?
I'm just curious why you're not trying to get the zoning change on it all right now, just a piece.
I am. I haven't surveyed it to do a minor land split. I'm dealing with the 12.2 acres. So I'd just like to go ahead and take it from special development into AR3, have the whole thing AR3, and then just go ahead and divvy it up from there.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought you were just trying to rezone the 3.
No. Yeah, I want to tackle the whole parcel right now, zoning-wise, to make it simpler when we split it.
Yeah, I just misunderstood. I thought you were just trying to rezone the 3 you're splitting off.
Sure.
Sounds like you have a good plan for retirement.
I'm hoping.
I don't have any problem with it.
I'd like to make a motion to move forward with it.
It's been moved and seconded that we send a favorable recommendation to the Board of Supervisors on this matter. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's passed.
Thank you for your time.
I'm not sure, when is the next meeting?
Steve knows.
Does Steve know? He knows it.
When's the next meeting, Steve, for the supervisors?
Okay, it's gonna be April 15th.
No,
April 7th.
April 7th, it'll
this-
come to the
Our
board.
next one is the 15th. You're welcome to come to that too, but.
Yeah, it'll go to the board on the first Monday of next month.
I won't be here.
Okay, the next item is, now are we at Guy Knowles?
Guy Knowles.
Yeah.
All right. I like it when I'm really prepared. This is number 6 on our agenda, REZ 92925. The APN is 10439 197. This is 97 of an acre. A request was made by Guy Nolan to rezone from R&R, that's a single-family resident, to an RM multifamily resident. The applicant would like to rezone to be able to build 2 duplexes. The address is 1998 South Robertson Ranch Road, Thatcher, Arizona, west of Robertson Ranch Road, north of Horseshoe Lane. Steve?
Good morning again. This is, if you'll remember back, we rezoned this not too long ago to allow for this 1.5 acres to be split into 3 halves. And the applicant has built on the front piece and then kind of changed his mind as to what he wants to do. So he's trying to rezone to multifamily so that he can put some duplexes back there rather than two big houses. He wants to put 2 duplexes. And I'll let him talk to that. But I think in your packet you have a letter of opposition. And I also have another one here that you did not get because it got here late. And I'll let you, I don't know if you wanted me to read it, it's too long and lengthy, but. Oh, you have the one I have? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought this came late. So you've already seen this, and so I'll let Guy talk to you about what he wants to do, and we'll go from there.
Good morning, Commissioning Board. I'm Guy Nolan, for the record. I did submit, I got a little late, so it might not be in your packet, but what a proposed plan is we have currently on the lot, there's a 1970s double wide manufactured home. I have just a preliminary drawing of kind of where we would probably end up putting a couple of these duplexes. Oh, thank you. Here's the home. This will end up being removed, and then we would end up planting a duplex here and a duplex here. There is a home, it's kind of hard to see on this, but there is a new home that's built right here in the front. The homes, or the 2 duplexes, would be just a single story. They would look very similar to what's built out in front along the road. The proposed, of what I'm proposing to build, would be 2-bedroom, 2-bath duplexes, nothing very large. Purpose would be to be kind of more like starter housing for anybody in the area. I know that the community doesn't have a whole lot of starter housing as far as rentals go in Thatcher, or transient housing, so people that are working here for a year or 2 and just need something in between. That's kind of the target of who we would try to provide housing services to. So, but yeah, that's what the plan is currently. Is there any questions or concerns?
Have you guys had a chance to read?
Yeah.
The opposition?
I would be happy to address the opposition letter too. I do have kind of a short responses to those.
Okay.
From Mr. Brewer. Mr. Brewer was a little bit worried about the lot sizes.
Is Mr. Brewer here? No? Okay.
Where's his house located?
I believe Mr. Brewer's house is, actually, I don't know exactly. There. One of the concerns was lot sizes. The lot size actually won't change. There's not going to be a split on that if we change the zoning to accommodate 2 duplex, 2 multifamilies. So the lot size, it's not going to change. Currently, we can change it down to 1/2 acre with the current zoning, but it would stay at the 1 acre size and then planting 2 duplexes on it. There was also a concern about infrastructure and utilities. There is a utility easement in the back. The county is very good, as I've learned, about patrolling those and making sure that you're not getting into, that they do actually really patrol and make sure that you're not building into that easement. I just know that from experience, just from working with the county. Where we would put these would not interfere with that utility easement at all. There was also a concern about, because it's not connected to a public sewer system. I actually checked with my septic guy. The septic systems that would serve these two duplexes is actually the same size of septic system, or very, very similar to what would be servicing like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, 3 or 4 bedroom. So that's not really going to change anything. He had a concern about some road conditions.
Hey, Guy, while you're on that infrastructure part, is that
Yes, sir.
city water, or are you guys on well right there?
City water. There was a concern about road conditions and traffic impact. Yes, that's legit. There's going to be a little bit more traffic. But Robinson Ranch Road is a good road. I don't see, there'll be a few more cars on it. He did have a concern about the building scale and privacy. These are all going to be single story. He did, in his letter, he talked about a 2-story. We won't be doing a 2-story. Like I said, it's going to blend in really well with the neighborhood of what's around there, or what we would build. So it would not affect that. Neighborhood character was also a concern. Again, I plan on building a nice home, nice duplexes. I don't think it would bring in any bad people per se. I think it would be nothing but a uplifting in the community to be able to have some more housing that's available. So those were kind of the concerns that Mr. Brewer had, and I hope I addressed them okay. Is there any other questions from the board that I could answer?
I do have one. So there's, each one of these homes are gonna have for 2 families, right?
It would be.
That's what duplex.
Correct. It could accommodate a very small family. It'd just be a 2-bedroom, 2-bath each unit.
Okay, so each one of them, you're just designating for one family in each one of these.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Correct. Yeah. On past properties in the area that I've managed, what I've found is actually with this, it's normally young professionals that come in and are looking for something this size. Normally somebody with several kids, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath isn't quite adequate. So the house in the front, the house in the front that we built is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So that one would accommodate like a normal size family.
Now, what about the well water and the septic tanks?
So there's no well.
The 2 additional septic tanks there.
There would be 2 additional septic tanks per, so there would be a septic tank on the design. I believe we should be able to do 1 septic tank to serve the 1 duplex and then the other duplex.
I heard from our sewer analyst at the county. He could not be here this morning. He intended to, but he had some question or some concerns with this, because there's already a septic system there for the manufactured home that is leaving. And he said they have to provide for a septic system and a reserve area for each. So there's going to have to be room for 4 septics in there without conflicting with the area where there's already a septic. But apparently he also said, or they may be able to make that one work for one of them. So he thought it was probably doable, and he was real comfortable working with Mr. Nolan's contractor. He dealt with him before and thought they could figure it out. So, but he has to get the zoning before he can even try.
Yeah. Thank you. Is there any questions?
The sewer's a long ways from that location, isn't it?
I believe so. I don't think the sewer is anywhere close.
There is sewer at 8th Street and Robinson, but that's it's exactly a mile.
It's just my opinion, but I oppose it just for the simple fact that I personally believe multifamily should have infrastructure in place. And I think if we continue doing this throughout the county, we're just gonna make a mess of the county. I'm 100% on your vision, but I just think it's the wrong location. That's my personal opinion.
Is there any other discussion?
You know. He wants to put a
Can you
negative.
guys hear her? They can't hear you.
Oh, I just said I don't have a problem with it, but you're probably right, it probably would be better. But, you know. Just go with the.
Everybody needs to.
Oh, well, I'm done now. I'm just, I'm okay if whatever the board decides.
So if we change the zoning and then it doesn't get, the septic thing doesn't get, it still has to get approved before you can build.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't, you can't build it anyway.
I have to say the same, that we're trying to put more and more on these smaller parcels, and the infrastructure doesn't seem like it's gonna fit. And again, I agree with his vision, but we're just making it tighter and tighter for this, and we're gonna keep making more and more exceptions too. Start setting the precedent now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would be a precedent, wouldn't it, Steve, if we changed it?
We have this elsewhere, but this, like he said, this duplex will take the same septic system that a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house will, so I don't know that it's getting too far off the path, but that's why we have you and your opinions.
There's just a lot more into it other than just the sewer. Like I said, all the concerns she said they're all legitimate concerns. You're putting multifamily right in the middle of an area that people are building very nice large homes, and they want a little bit of acreage, and you're just starting to squeeze on that. Like I said, that's my opinion. I'm 100% for multifamily, but I believe it needs to be in a place that's zoned for multifamily. I understand that's what you're going for is a zoning change, but infrastructure needs to be in place for multi.
Is there any other questions?
No.
Is there any other multifamily in the area?
I think how many pieces there are. I know there's one right up here. I don't like the way our this piece right here is a piece of multifamily also. Isn't it?
I understand that.
There's nothing built on it. They thought they were gonna and didn't.
Is there any other discussion on this?
No.
Are you ready? Question? We need a motion.
I motion to deny it.
Is there a second to this motion? It's been moved and seconded that we send a non-favorable recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. Is there any more discussion on this matter? People that's for it, do you have anything to say? Okay, are you ready then?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
You have to be in favor of the
Of the
motion.
In
motion.
favor of no.
A favor of no.
Okay. 3. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded and voted on. There was 3 people out of the 5 that is, and so that is a quorum. So we will send a favorable recommendation to the Board of Supervisors.
Non-favorable.
I'm non-favorable. I am so sorry. Yeah, I did. Mhm. I'm not voting. I can't vote unless there's a tie. Should I go on record? I'm opposed.
Decision.
Thank you so much. And this will go before the Board of Supervisors. Again, we're not the ultimate. And so, you know, the questions they'll be asking more detailed than us. But, so be sure and go before this Board of Supervisors because they're still going to hear it. Thank you. I think I need a secretary. Can't keep my paperwork straight. And we have had one person that has reclused himself. Is that right, Peter? Because this is his.
Peter is the applicant, therefore he has to recuse himself from the decision-making, but he will present his own case here, so treat him as a member of the public and not a member of your board. Be mean to him.
Are you going to tell us about it? Or?
Well, go ahead and read your
You want me to say it
your
first?
agenda item.
I'm so sorry. I don't know. I see it. Number 7, REZ 93025. The address is APN 107-52001, and this is 22.4 acres. 107-48-001 is 9/10 of an acre. 107-48-002A is 0.5. And 107-49-002C is 200.7 acres. 224.5 total acres is in this. A request was made by Peter Baez to rezone from A, that's general land use, to CM, commercial manufacturing. The applicant would like to use this land for future commercial development. Dry ground issues have made this land not good for farming. The address is all parcels are north of Highway 70, east of Sanchez Road in Solomon.
Hi, I'm Peter Velasquez. I live at 1612 South 12th Avenue. And as you can see on the map here, this frontage road, this old strip right here that's not farmed, that the water runs through, that is part of what's called hot ground. And the water settlement to make that field whole again is taking over 20 acres from the front right here to finish that field out so they can farm it. And so I'm gonna have these parcels in the front here. I let the Palmers decide, because I don't farm it, what would be better. And so these parcels will no longer be farmed, and they're gonna be dirt. And so my idea was, you know, nobody wants to look at dirt, and there's no sewer or, you know, to build housing out there. And I thought, that there is no commercial ground in that part of the county, and maybe there would be a dollar store or some kind of services built out here for these people who live here and on out in Sanchez. I just don't know what else to do with it. The land in the back, if you turn the flood zone part on there, if you would, Mark. This is all flood zone, so you're not gonna build houses out here or do anything like that with it ever. So I think it'll be a farm for as long as we can, but at some point, we'll have to come back and reorganize these lots to fit, some kind of access off the highway to satisfy ADOT. But as I've learned being on this thing, the first part of development is getting the zoning and then going through all the processes. But yeah, if you have any questions, it's nothing, I don't know if any of you have dealt with the Indian thing, if you farmed here, it's a real problem, and we just have to agree and sign the paper and get on with it, so that's where I'm stuck with. They just took usable ground and made it unusable for that purpose anymore. You had the story, there used to be a farm or building out in that field that burned down, and so, if you have any questions.
Do we have any questions from out here? I think we have some neighbors if they want to speak. I don't know.
Is there anybody here that wants to speak of this? Please come up
Come on up.
and state your
Come on
name.
up. We need you to tell us your name and your address.
My name is Rosa Martinez, and I live at 5381 East Highway 70, right in front of this proposed zoning. What I'm wanting to know is how will it affect all the front partials of all the houses that are in front of this rezoning area? What effect is it going to have on our land, on our 5381, right in front of the 6th Avenue? Partial is here. It's right over on the other side of the highway. Sixth Avenue, 5381, right on the corner. Right across from the area that you want to rezone. And what is it going to be used for? You don't know what it's going to be used for or anything. A lot of traffic. As it is, we have a lot of traffic. Yeah, so.
Yeah. Traffic and study was all dictated. Have to be a traffic study. More than likely, on that part of the highway, they'll have a big turning lane. All of the traffic have to go into the property and then face things on the highway. Steer or have all that, no parking.
Yeah.
So they won't allow that anymore. Actually,
There's been a lot of
accidents right there, and that's wide.
Yeah, it does.
But ADOT will give all that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak to this? Okay, does anyone up here has a question? We pretty much went through this a few times.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
getting to this point.
So I'll make a motion favorable.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we give a favorable recommendation toward this. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. It was carried. And, okay, the last item today is RZ 3125 APN 10535 180. That's 2.5 acres. A request was made by Tom Palmer to rezone from an A, that's general land use, to an RSB, single family residential. The applicant would like to have zoning that allows smaller lot sizes for future development. The address is south of Highway 70, east of and adjoining Alder Lane. Are you here, Mr. Palmer? Or Steve, would you speak at that first?
Good morning. Mr. Palmer could not be here this morning and asked me to read a letter on his behalf, which I will do. Commissioners, my family and I will be out of town on spring break for the P&Z meeting on the 19th. I wish I could attend in person, but appreciate Mr. McCoy's willingness to read this letter. I purchased the subject property in January. One of my children has been looking for a place to build a future home, and I became aware of this property when I surveyed it for Ron Howard. At the time of purchase, the lot lines were adjusted slightly, and the assessor's map has not caught up with it. This says may have not. I'll tell you it didn't. It looks a little different than that. The parcel that Mark is showing you there is 2.3 acres, and the real one is 2.5. I adjusted his letter to say that. Other than my daughter wanting a modest building lot, I don't have definite plans for the property. There is more existing infrastructure in this location than exists in the majority of the county. It is on a paved road with water mains, sewer mains, gas lines, electric lines, etc. Of all the places where a rezone to smaller residential lots makes sense, doing so where the infrastructure already exists is very logical. The property is in a floodplain, and this whole area is flood prone. Any home that is built will require proper floodplain permits, drainage clearances, and flood studies to ensure that the flood condition is not made worse for existing neighbors and that any new construction is likewise protected. This increased level of scrutiny on the drainage and flooding is a good thing, as the county will have a say in the process and can ensure responsible development. The default 1 acre minimum lot is available all over the county. Not everyone can afford a large lot, and many people don't want to maintain a full acre. Allowing for smaller lots can help in both affordability and can cater to someone that doesn't want to maintain a full acre. Doing so where infrastructure exists to support it is my request. Thank you for your consideration. Tom Palmer, owner. And we have 2 written complaints. Do they have both of them or just one of them? They have neither? Okay. If those people are here, I'll let them speak to it. For that matter.
We do have 3.
Okay, let's go there next.
Just go there first.
Yeah.
The first person is Peter Hansen. Would you like to come up and give your name?
Sure. My name is Peter Hansen. I'm not real good at public speaking, so I'm, just like that was read off, I'm probably gonna have to just read most of this off too, so I don't lose track of my points. My name is Peter Hansen. Myself and my wife, Catherine Hansen, own and reside at 650 South Alder Lane, directly across from the proposed map change. We have lived at this home for nearly 20 years, and we contest the map change. If approved, there could be, according to the proposed split, as many as 10 single-family homes built on a 2.5 acre tract of farm ground at the west end of the main property there. I've been told by Graham County Deputy Engineer while putting a few homes in that area may result in a minimal flood impact. Putting 10 houses in the same area would require a lot more engineering and many more issues to be dealt with. This would include water drainage from the presently irrigated many acres of cotton field attached east of the site, drainage from multiple structures on the site itself, and drainage issues from the road itself. Presently, there is only a single drain for all of the property there at the northwest corner. It appears to us that this site has to be lifted to the level above ground to satisfy the county for being in an AO floodplain. I had to personally put in for a solar structure above on my property, put it 3 feet above the property level, and another family had to do the same for their home at the north end of South Alder Lane, right before the railroad tracks. It is evident after I talked to Graham County Planning and Zoning, any structures placed at the proposed site will be close to or above the pavement level on Alder Lane. This could easily change the water flow on Alder itself, possibly placing my property and other properties on Alder in a greater jeopardy from flooding. The proposed area has always helped with overflows from excessive rain by diverting water and soaking in excess moisture. If 10 homes were built in the proposed area, this would effectively double the amount of traffic on South Alder Lane. There are presently only a dozen homes on this entire street length. South Alder Lane is already plagued from a number of speeders from the Alder Heights Addition area that totally ignore the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit. Some consider it a free-for-all, and enforcement is already sparse there, if at all. I have talked to Graham County Planning and Zoning recently, and after seeing the Photoshop of my property from Graham County records, the issue was raised about the east boundary of my property line, which does in fact extend across and onto the area on the east side of the road, but to what degree is uncertain and is being looked into by their staff. Whether this raises any issues is also uncertain to us. I realize that Graham County is in need of more housing, but I do not believe this is an appropriate area to do so. I believe the many issues that would be of concern placing homes in this area, should a zoning change to be approved, be looked at very cautiously and completely if granted is written. Thank you.
Is there any questions?
I don't know if you had any questions for me or not.
I had a question for Mark. Mark, who owns the property directly east of Palmer's, the farm? Right there, yes. Okay. And the reason I asked, because if Palmer was, if he's gonna have water issues, if he was gonna be able to divert water that way, but it's a separate owner.
Also hot ground.
Okay, is there any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Scott Alder. Is he here? Just state your name and your address.
Good morning, my name's Scott Alder. I agree with everything Pete said, even though I couldn't hear it. I own the property. Now, Steve, you speak me, oh, there, I got it. I own this property all through here. And I have a current survey, 2020, right here in my hand. I own the bottom part of this field right here. I own into the bottom, into the wasteway, into this field. You can see that black mark right there. There are stakes put in there right now by Tom Palmer, basically acknowledging that. My biggest concern is, I grew up on Alder Lane. I'm 71 years old. When I grew up, I lived presently right there. It says that's not mine, but it is. It says it's Rick and Jan Lines, but that's mine. Anyway, I grew up right there. I haven't moved very far from where I grew up. The old house is right in my backyard where I grew up. There was no traffic on Alder Lane back then. Now, about an average speed is probably 45 to 50 miles an hour up through there. I can't get the county or the town to patrol it. They could solve the national debt with tickets if they would patrol it, but they won't. That's my big concern, is more traffic. And the flood zone, that's another traffic. Georgia, and a few others may have been around at the time, but I've seen water run right through that 3 foot deep. And whether it ever does again or not, though as dry as it's been, I don't know. But in 1983, it was about 3 foot deep running right through there. And I also have to speak for my daughter that lives right there. She's on vacation. It's spring break. Her and her husband are school teachers, and they're on vacation. And she is opposed to this also for the same reasons. And my big thing is the traffic and the congestion. If they put that many houses in there, they're going to tear up every house for a sewer line. And I can already tell you, according to this, I do own that, and they will not drive through my property. Thank you.
I got a question. Are you, if we stick with the zone, if we stuck with the original zoning and he built 2 houses, that's not a problem, right?
I would not even like that, but if that's the case,
yeah,
I guess that's not a problem. But to stick a bunch of them in there, I just, anyway, like I say.
It sounds like he's got a lot of access problems if you have part of the problem.
And I would like to read what he had to say if Steve would let me read it, but I do own that on the other side of the road right there for a ways, according to this survey. And if you would like that copy, well, you're welcome to.
Does that property, Mark, touch the highway, or would he have to get an easement from Howard to come in on the north side? I was talking to.
Actually just coming right in.
So that piece of property as of right now is landlocked?
No, there's access off of all of them.
Howard give it to him? Where's it at?
North 50. This parcel, like I told you in the letter, this is not what this is. Up here. This parcel now has a 50. Where's the access off all of that?
Do you want to, I want to hear from our county engineer, reference flood, traffic, all that stuff. Do you want to have your third person talk first, or would you like to?
Why not?
Yeah,
Let's do it, because you might want to address something with them too.
Is that you?
Okay, Georgia Lester.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for allowing me to speak, which I don't do very well either. I am Georgia Luster. I live at 450 South, 600 east. I live on the other side of Highway 70. I am that one property owner that all of this drainage goes through on the other side. I echo what Scott Alder has to say and what Mr. Hansen has to say. I've got tremendous concerns on the drainage and the traffic congestion. South Alder Lane and North Alder Lane are having a lot of new development. My concern is the new development on the south portion. All of that drainage ends up in my ditch. This property's been in my husband's family since the 1888. And we have seen, we've been living there about approximately 50 years, 52 years. And in those years, we've seen 2 major floods, that one in 83, and I think the other one was in 73, 74. Seemed like every few years we were getting these tremendous floods and rains and stuff at that time. The wildfires on Mount Graham caused tremendous major floods that comes from that area through Ash Creek, that comes from up above the canal and comes through all of that property. And all of this drain water ends up into the canals, which I know it's been a problem throughout the valley. And they've become part of the drainage system throughout our valley. And it's these major storms and the runoff is creating tremendous drainage issues. But like I say, my main concern, and I don't know whether you can see that, but right there where that blue line is the ditch that all this drainage comes off from this field where the proposed build is from Mr. Howard's. And they do have that under farm ground. It's not hot ground, is it? No, it's not. Yeah, it's farm ground, and I understood someone to say it was hot ground, and it's not. Where is all that drainage gonna go? I mean, if you build these homes, you're taking more and more agriculture out of use and putting it into concrete, and it's just creating tremendous runoff. And that's my concerns.
Just a minute, they may have some questions. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hey, Michael.
So I guess we know it's in a floodplain for sure, and so they're going to would have to raise the homes. As far as the runoff from those homes, we'll require them to have retention so that they'll need to retain their own water. But like they've explained, a lot of this drainage in this area comes, Ash Creek that comes off the mountain spreads out through this area. And we would regulate it according to FEMA regulations, which would require them to raise the home. And then we'd have to look at what they can provide to show that they don't impact their neighbors. When we don't know exactly what they're going to do, we have to review it once they submit it. Without knowing what they're actually going to end up doing. As far as the roadway, I've found one deed down through the road that's 16.5 feet wide that seems to cover, I don't know exactly where it plots out. I'm interested to see the survey that Scott's got so that we can see if we can plot out where that right-of-way comes relative to that. I know that the sewer and water do both run up the roadway, and so as far as utilities go, they have plenty of access to utilities. Traffic and speed, nobody, and I'm a proponent of photo radar, but but I know that most people aren't, and the legislature's trying to legislate against it. But when you have limited police officers, that would definitely be an opportunity. And maybe we could pay off that, at least some. Maybe we'd make the road better anyway. But any questions or?
I've got a question for you, Mike. Reverting back to the water retention. Would there be water retention for the entire development, or would that be individual lot water retention?
That would depend on how they design. They could do it either way. They could do it individually, or they could do it as, you know, kind of a community retention. We know there is a challenge when they do individual retention because people
They don't take care of it, exactly. And that was the reason I asked, because it's not taken care of when it's individual. And that's the biggest concern here. I'm really tore. You know, the gentleman that owns the land has the right to do with the land what he should choose to do if the infrastructure is involved. But it hinges on the water retention here, but obviously we don't know what the developer's doing as far as the water retention, but I understand you guys ain't gonna let them just build, you're gonna force them to do water retention, but we don't know at this point how the water retention's even gonna be handled, so I'm honestly tore.
Steve, what was his intention in his letter? I know he's not here, but did he say he was gonna build 10 houses? I mean, I wish I was here to tell us what he's doing.
The 10 houses is just mathematically the amount of acreage divided by the 10,000 square feet, but as we all know, with water retention, he ain't gonna get close to 10 lots.
He did not say, I mean, he specifically said he doesn't have plans beyond his daughter wanting a lot, but knowing that he can only split it into 5 lots himself, he either has to split half of it and sell half of it, or he's gonna have to do a full-blown subdivision for those 10 lots, which will give us even more say-so on how that works. I would hope that's what he was planning, but I can't say for sure. And the individual lot retention is gonna be minuscule compared to the real water that needs to be dealt with is what's coming from upstream. We have, I mean, water comes through there, it comes from 3/4 of the way up the mountain and many acres back upstream.
Well, I personally have a problem voting on something if the owner's not here, so I'm against it, because I want to ask questions and there's no questions to ask, to be answered, right? It's kind of give me whatever I want and then we'll find out later what happens. That's my opinion.
Well, I'm a no. So, I think there's too many unanswered questions. I think that it's too much density, and I think you're just creating problems, because there's obviously, these people think that they have, you know, ownership
It'd be nice
of
if he
part
was
of
here
it.
and his intent was, oh, I'm just gonna have 2 houses or whatever.
Well, he wouldn't have zoned to 10,000 square foot minimum if he was planning on doing the 1 acre lots. So, I mean, his intention is to have 10,000 square foot lots. Georgia wanted to say something.
The answer, that's my concern. 10 homes in that little area? That just seems unreal to me. I mean, if there was a restriction, and I'm a private property person, I agree, you have the right to do what you want with your property. But when you've got that tremendous runoff affecting the people downstream and that 10 homes in that one little area just seem unreal to me. Maybe 2 or 3 or something like that, but 10 is just, I don't see that it's justified.
Is there a way we can table this until we get accurate maps?
Well, he has an opportunity.
I'm not even seeing where the real legal access is, and as you've admitted, there's, the lot lines ain't current.
That's your option to make that,
I move
motion
that
to
we
table
table
it.
this till we get
But he
more
has the
information.
opportunity to argue it in front of the board.
You, come on up here,
Sure.
only on the mic.
really. Along with what I've said before, putting 10 homes in that area actually destroys the nature of that whole section of South Alder. There's only 11 homes. I'm on my walks in the morning. There's only about a dozen homes down that whole stretch of Alder Lane. When you put 10 homes in an area like that, that just takes that whole area and just changes the whole outlook of that section of Pima. Every other home down through there is an acre or more all the way down through there. And to put 10 homes in that little stretch of area up there at 2.5 acres, I live directly across from it, and I really don't have a problem with because the way the proposal was set up, it was set up, the way it reads is 10,000 square foot sections, which could equal up to 10 homes in there. I really don't have any problem if the gentleman only wants to put 2 or 3, because 2 or 3 fits. Excuse me, 2 or 3 fits that area. If he was to put it how it should be. But 10 is just way too many, way too much work, way too many regulations, way too many hoops that he's gonna have to run through. Just a lot of problems. Thank you.
Scott gets his shot at it.
You know, I had to go down and fight with Pima the other day too. And this is a personal thing. None of these people want to put this stuff in their front yard. They all want to go put it in somebody else's front yard. Not a one of them. The other one that I fought against, not a one of them want to put it in their front yard, but they sure don't mind doing it in somebody else.
See, what are our options? I mean, he can always go before the board. He still has to go before the board.
Yeah, he still has to go to the board, and they'll have whatever you send to him, but you can table it if you actually want to know answers to this, and he can answer them next month, and then you can do what you want with it, or you can decide one way or the other today and give reasons on the record why you went whichever way you went. That way the board actually gets the information and knows what questions to ask when he gets to them.
Mr. Palmer's an engineer, correct?
Correct.
He can answer a lot of the questions we have. I moved to table this until Mr. Palmer can get in here, and because I honestly don't have a recommendation at this point because there's so many unanswered questions. That's my stance.
I would like to make a motion that we vote in favor of it. It's already been established that
Yeah.
we've got people that have showed up opposed to it.
Is there a second to that?
I second that because I think he still has the opportunity to go before the board and make his case, or he can pull it, right? So he's got options. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he should have been here, so.
Yeah,
I
so that's on
second it.
him.
Or got on the line?
Yeah.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we send an unfavorable recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion's been carried.
So if you just make a recommendation to the public to definitely attend the board meeting, so your voices to be heard.
When is the board again?
7th of April 7th, 8 a.m.
Gotta be here.
I don't do neither.
Okay, thank you all for coming.
Are we done?
Steve's gonna give us the report. Nothing to say.
It's good. Well, it's so good.
I need those. No. Hi.
Where you at on the agenda? Where are you on the agenda? I don't
We're
wanna-
listening to you.
About?
That was the last one.
Mhm. That was the last thing on our agenda. We have nothing to say.
Okay, but I don't have,
Mhm. We don't have anything to set up.
well, since I don't have the agenda and you're not reading it, I'm gonna go with, the last month, we did Wade and Terry Lineberger's rezone from A to M zone. That was for a dog kennel.
Would you guys, we're still in session. We're still in session. If you could talk outside, it would be appreciated.
That zoning for the dog kennel, passed the board unanimous and was approved, and that's all we had last month.
Okay, then, we will detail everything that we said to Rebecca. We'll be sending everything that we discussed with this and why we gave that. And, do you do that? You're awesome. Thank you. So we are adjourned if there's nothing else to come before this meeting.
Thank you, guys.
Well, I'll see you guys next.
No, you won't. We don't have, as far as we know, we don't have anyone next
Oh,
month.
really? Okay.
Unless people turn something in that needs set up before. You.
See you later.
Doing a great job.
Mark said he would be able to attend again.
Great.